Well, welcome again. This is the third part of the um, labor market policies lecture of the general economics course. And this lecture series is prepared for the Middlesex Technical University Northern Cyprus campus. And I was basically going over the Kaber's article, uh, which was basically talking on the EPZs and basically the different views on the working conditions there, especially for the women working in EPCs. Um, and basically, um, they already talk on the race to bottom idea and basically different views that are supporting the race to bottom idea, as well as certain responses to those ideas that are stated in the race to bottom in case of race to bottom view. Uh, Basically, we have talked on the alternative options women have to the um, the working conditions they face in the export processing zone workplaces. Case of competitive advantage basically states it's basically stating something to some extent it is connected to the critics we have already stated, which is basically it states that the women in the export processing zone are usually part of the workforce that is not that much skilled, not that much, let's say, advantageous in terms of um, organization, productivity, skill level. Uh, and that's the very reason why the conditions they are working in are inferior. As well as, I mean, the labor organizations and basically the rights that could be connected to labor organizations are not uh, available for those women. I mean, of course, the main discussion is usually not done on the organization level, by the way. The main discussion is done on the labor market conditions. And the main idea there is those women, they are not forced to work. They are working because their alternative, uh, the next alternative is worse. Of course, there the famous critique comes. Well, maybe uh, the fact that they need to work is also something that is a result of economic transformation. Maybe they are enforced out of their uh, family land. Uh, Maybe they are um, they are their husbands are not working because their husbands are fired, so or the wage level of their husbands have reduced, so they had to work. So there could be many reasons that might create the transformation, which basically make the woman work in the end. That could be the counter critique to this the second alternative case. Uh, but well, looking everything to a static way, I mean, the current conditions, what is the next best alternative, second best alternative to women, they should be better off by working if, not working is an option for them, especially. Um, and basically, neither the man or the man in who are able to work in formal sector, nor the workers in the developed countries should worry. I mean, those ideas are to some extent developed in 1980s, basically. The idea there was the workers in those in developed countries and in the um, in the uh, 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 developing countries, the formal sector, they are more organized, they are more productive. So basically, the women will be employed by the sectors which are not requiring that much of productive workers, while those workers will be employed in sectors which require more productive workers. Well, this basically doesn't happen, and basically, I mean, there's a transformation that happened, and the jobs that initially required productive workers and basically more skilled workforce had actually been transformed into jobs which doesn't require that much of a skilled labor force. Well, the idea then could be, I mean, the workers, they were not as productive as the workers in the Bangladesh. Maybe they had same productivity as the workers in Bangladesh and the uh, China or other countries like that. So if they are getting a lower wage, or if the companies are moving to those countries rather than employing Americans, or they employ women rather than employ men in the formal sector, basically that's probably because uh, those workers were getting a wage higher than their productivity. That's the main idea. And in the end, they should realize this, and they should basically improve their productivity, maybe to basically um, to become competitive with the uh, workforce working in EPCs, basically. So these are both of the ideas which could be used to kind of um, uh, make a case for the comparative advantage. And productivity is basically, as we have seen, there are many things which may actually make the woman more productive. There are some personal traits, but there are also some social traits that makes women more productive. That's certainly the case. At social level, there are some additional obstacles in addition to women have as initially personal obstacles. Um, so that might be the case. Um, well, however, and of course, men and the people in developed countries might be more organized and more productive. However, we should also note that to some extent those rights are also taken by organizations, as we have mentioned before. I mean, labor organizations, which were mainly organized in an illegal way in many ways in countries. Uh, and basically, the women were not included in those organizations. And actually, basically, if you look to turn of century, the women working in the United States mostly, and we have seen this in the history part basically of this course, mostly the women that were working had actually shocked the men at both different levels of the society. I mean, women should work be in the house and basically protected from the working condition. That was the idea, although that idea is not necessarily true because women in the rural areas were always working, as we have also seen in that point. So the fact that women have lacked from the organization, those organizations, might be actually very reason why they are getting less wage. They are getting less, let's say, uh, they are accepting the conditions in EPCs. So here we should see actually the two things that are connected. I mean, the more productive workers who are more used to the general working environment, who have worked for generations or trained by their family members for those working conditions, get sufficient skills, at least social skills, by watching their male parents, basically in the case of boys or developing countries, their parents, both parents maybe. In developed countries, they don't have those skills. They don't have that social organization, and that may be making them less productive. Of course, there could be other reasons like the infrastructure, like in the developing countries. Of course, that's true for the developing countries and developed countries. Difference. Uh, However, it is whenever actually this horrors of this, and here we are moving to the developing country contrast. Whenever usually, well, for the comparative advantage case, maybe we should say in this way, uh, the to some extent, having workers unproductive might be not that much productive, unskilled, female workers especially, or certain segments of the society, might be explaining the wage differences and basically, I mean, certain sectors that are relocating to the developing countries. But we should also note that in many sectors that are actually required skills are de-skilling. So basically, whenever this large labor force becomes suddenly available, that is unorganized, and maybe also unskilled, that those things might to some extent accompany it, the sectors, different sectors, increasingly they become, they transform themselves and they become open to those that work for. So they are not. That's not necessarily. I mean, it's not necessarily we have unskilled sectors that are requiring unskilled labor force and sectors that are requiring skilled labor force. And labor organization, in many ways, maybe along with also skill level, maybe also there are other factors that allow these conditions. But certainly, labor organizations have been very instrumental in getting certain rights and also labor conditions and working conditions, basically. Uh, and lack of certain segments of the society in these labor organizations might be the very thing maybe we should uh, maybe the very thing that should be concentrated on. And there we also see the problem in the, for example, turn of the century, where you exclude the woman in the working organizations and rather see women as someone to be protected. And end of 20th century and beginning of the 21st century, where you see the women in the Bangladesh as women who need to be protected, rather than well, help to organize, get their own power, get their own, let's say, express their own problems, have a voice, and have a voice through their organizations, not one or two person in the that is brought to the developing countries. And that's one other critique of KABER. I mean, usually one or two of those women are brought in, and they have certain lines. Those lines are reviewed by the organizations that brought them, which are usually organizations of the developed world. And there were certain things, for example, I mean, one of the things that was basically said was the women in those factories are either willing to, well, they say, for example, that's one of the sayings that was expressed in the supposed sayings, supposed quotations from the woman working in APSMs. People rather work, if they are lucky, they work as sex workers rather than in factories. And KABER said actually she never heard anyone in Bangladesh. She never heard anyone in Bangladesh in APCs say that, and she has made a lot of research on this, the women working in APCs. So, well, that one or two women doesn't mean that there is an organization. I mean, there is some organization that is representing those women, at least part of those women, organized segment of those women, basically. And that might be mainly the key here. Well, we have already talked on this other labor market options of those women. We should also note that in many cases, those women don't also have a favorable family conditions. They work in their own families. Usually working time is not specified. Every aspect of their life is controlled and regulated by their family. Meanwhile, in the APZs, even with overwork time, their work time is limited. They have, for the first time, money they can control themselves. However little that money is, and except the working conditions, working, let's say, working their working behavior, productivity related behavior. Basically, they have also certain kind of freedom in the workplace. So actually, in many ways, the working conditions in EPCs might be kind of an improvement for the woman. And I'm saying this as a, well, someone who is actually can be sometimes very critical to the working conditions in different, I mean, in developing Fortran in general, basically. Anyway, I will talk more on this in the next part. See you in the next.